Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Influencer Interviews and Insights with Rooster Hat and Takes. My name is Matt. We got Jason here, and we also got Cam. How you guys doing today?
Oh, doing great, man. What a weekend we had. My boy, he did it. Finished the story.
He finished it.
Yeah, I'm doing good as well, thanks. I'm exhausted after 2 nights of staying up till 5 a.m. to watch WrestleMania. What a crazy weekend. I'm sure every fan in Europe and the UK can relate to that. But yeah, no regrets at all. What a great show it was.
Oh, it absolutely was. It was a great 3 nights, right? Everything went well. Like, I know a lot of people were happy with Cody finishing his story. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But again, welcome to podcast number 3. We have a very special guest with us today. We'll bring him on here in a few minutes. But again, Influencer Interviews and Insights is powered by Next Level. We're building out that wrestling community on the Next Level app. Come see some of the greatest content in the world by the greatest content creators in the world on Next Level. We're super excited to have one of our brand ambassadors who's a part of the app also on today with us. And we are also giving away 2 WWE 2K24 games, the Mania editions. So make sure you click on our Connect link or our Guest Connects link today and register for your chance to win those games. So that is definitely still going on. But guys, a lot to talk about with Mania, a lot to talk about with our guest today, and let's not keep people waiting. Let's bring him on. Here comes our man. Welcome to the stage, Clark.
What's going
Clark,
on, guys?
Doing?
I'm fired up to be here. Stoked. It's 10:40 in the morning, and I'm ready to roll. 2 cups of coffee in, fresh off of Mania week, fresh off Monday Night Raw. Let's do it.
Definitely a wild weekend, right? And what takes you guys are on the opposite ends of the world essentially. He's over there in the UK, you're out in California, so sleep is a thing of the past for sure. So again, Clark, thanks for taking some time to be with us today. We're super excited to have you. We've had some amazing guests. Takes was our first guest. We had Jake TV last week, so welcome to the show. We know you are a huge part of Wrestling Republic, which, like I mentioned earlier in our opening, that they are one of our brand ambassadors. They use in our Connect link. There's so much fun. Ben's a great guy. If there's anything that I've learned, Ben is a great guy, creates amazing content. So it's a pleasure to be able to work with him. Yeah. And I know you get to work with him on a daily basis, so I'm sure you're excited about that.
Oh, dude, it's unbelievable. I call him the hardest working man in showbiz. It's wild what he's able to do with whether it's graphics and getting shows edited and hosting shows, all of it. It's crazy. Like, if I thought I did a lot of work hosting the shows throughout the weekend, and he hosted shows as well, did a live stream, did the graphics for all of them. I'm like, yeah, kid is absolute machine.
Yeah. So speaking of Wrestling Republic, you guys doing a podcast. When you were growing up, did you think that that's what you would be doing? And how did you and Ben meet as well?
So honestly, it's a great question. I mean, my dream was always in sports radio. So like, kind of when the whole podcast, I mean, you know, I'm 32. So when I was a kid, right, podcasting wasn't quite a thing yet, but my dream was always like the Clark Taylor show in the morning, about whatever, right? About sports. That was like the big one. I, always wrote down when the teacher would ask you what you want to do when you grow up. So totally always like broadcasting, super interested in. And then when the podcasting came on, I was like, oh yeah, I got to get into that as soon as possible, right? Because it's hard to figure out a place to start when it comes to the radio side. Podcasting, you get a microphone, you get a laptop, and you can pretty much go. And that's one of the best things about it. As far as how me and Ben met, it's really, really funny. I was just sort of following different wrestling pages. I'd gotten more into wrestling than I had been for a while, around about 2019. So just started following ones that got suggested. Didn't know a soul from Wrestling Republic. Watched a few of their, Eric Novak does an interview show that's really good, the All Real Wrestling Podcast. It's really cool. And he had a couple wrestlers on that that I knew about. And so I watched that show and then found the website and started sort of reading articles. And I was like, man, I don't know what they would think, but I might as well just shoot a DM. And I DM'd the Wrestling Republic main page. And Ben responded in like 5 minutes, and he was like, "Oh yeah,
Nice.
Would you like to do reviews? Send me a sample of your work." I'm like, "I don't have any work." So I wrote a sample in 20 minutes, sent it to him, and was hired that afternoon. It was pretty wild how it all came together. And then about 6 months in, I bugged him to death about starting a podcast, and he finally gave in. And the rest is history when it came to that.
Nice. As we mentioned, this is only our third show. So have you got any advice with doing a podcast? Obviously, you've been going a lot longer than us.
I mean, so it's really funny. One thing is, don't be too hard on yourself. The more you do it, the more reps you have, you're going to make mistakes at times. You're going to, butcher somebody's name, say the wrong thing. It's okay, right? We started December 24th of 2022, and we've done every day since, except for Christmas. Both Christmases we took off. But other than that, we've done every single day. And sincerely, like, as dumb as this sounds, the more reps you get, the easier it gets. Like now I kind of just feel like, it's second nature, right? Like as soon as it's time to go, it's time to go. And the nerves sort of go away a little bit, anything like that. As far as advice, yeah, just keep going, I guess, would be the best that I can give, right? Like keep doing it over and over. And to me, it just gets easier every single time.
Right. Just like almost everything, right? If you think about it, playing sports growing up, the more reps you got, the better you got at it. Just get jumping on that bike. You crashed a couple times, you get back on it and you just keep rolling. So that's great advice. And people will appreciate that because we're reaching out to all types of people, right, Clark? Like whether you're just starting your career or we have some major players in the game that are on next level that we plan on talking to and having on the show as well. So we want to hear all that type of advice, right? That's the stuff that we're looking for and to help us grow, but also help the people who are following us grow as content creators and podcasters eventually too. So
totally.
All right, let's get to this though, because obviously we've talked about it. Mania was just this weekend. And we can all probably say it probably was the best in our lifetime. Cam's a little younger, so it probably definitely wasn't his, right? Yeah. But give me your initial thoughts, right, Clark, on what you thought about Mania.
So I thought it was wild. I loved it. I really, really loved night one. I thought it was awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, not that I disliked night two, but night one just blew me away. That Sami Zayn and Gunther match. Oh, what in the world? Yep. That was an absolute slugfest, and I loved it. And to me, it was the most shocking result of the weekend. I truly did think Gunther was going home, retaining, and not done yet with his reign. But I actually think they made the right decision in having Sami go over. It was cool. For a long time headed into the show, I thought Gable would have been the more logical choice because that seemed to be being built, Gable and Gunther. But the flip to Sami and the way the story was told, I really, that was one of my highlights. Night two, I loved. I mean, I kind of joked for a long time about not wanting Cody to finish the story. So I was like, oh man, I'm going to have to eat crow for that. But the reality is I of course loved it. How could you not root for that? And I thought the Nick Khan getting that his dad's Rolex for him, that choked me up. I almost cried. That was as cool as it gets to me. That was like what wrestling's all about.
Yeah, I have to agree with you with the Sami and Gunther, because Gunther, you're gonna give him the push to the world title. You had to take the Intercontinental title off him at some point.
Yes.
What better night than WrestleMania to do that and to have Sami do it? And you can't just have just anybody to take it and beat Gunther to knock his status down. So I absolutely agree with that. I love that match. I with the Jimmy and Jay, I think that match needed a stipulation. It was good, but it was good storytelling, but it needed something else, I think. A kendo stick here and there or something. But what do you think about Jimmy and Jay?
I thought that was the slightest, I hate to say biggest letdown. I thought it was the biggest letdown of the weekend, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Like just what you have with identical twins. I mean, anything you can do, I can do better. Like they're looking in a mirror, right? Imagine competing with yourself your entire life, and then you're going to do it at WrestleMania, and it turned out to sort of just be a singles match. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't the blood feud you would expect it to be. And something about their story being separated from the bloodline story, I think took some steam out of it. Right? Like, we were so used to the beginning of the storyline started with the bloodline and Jay splitting off and Jimmy even for a time splitting off back then and stuff. And like, we got so far away from that. And then with Jimmy being on SmackDown and Jay being on Raw for the majority of this year, it was kind of just like slated on the card somewhere. We knew it'd be Jimmy and Jay, but we didn't quite get enough interaction, I don't think, to really drive home how big of a deal it is that you've got arguably the greatest tag team in WWE history and their identical twins wrestling against each other at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I got to agree. I kind of expected it though, because remember Matt versus Jeff Hardy, that was built up to be this huge match, and it was a bit of a letdown. They did have a stipulation, but me personally, I'm not really a fan of the Usos being separate. I prefer them as a tag team. I think they both excel, or just thrive in the tag team division. But yeah, I agree that definitely needed some sort of TLC or not TLC, but something street fight to make it more of a brutal match.
I think so for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was missing something. It was a little lackluster. And going back to the Gunther and Sammy fight, like what a match! Like I was standing up a couple times. The amount of punishment they gave each other throughout that match, it was awesome. It was so much fun. Obviously, there's the main event, right? And we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. The main event, but I could not agree with you anymore, Clark. Like that match really grabbed my attention for night one. And it was just from there on out, I was tuned in, ready to go, ready to watch everything. So it was super exciting. So
it was. You know which one, by the way, speaking of stipulations, I loved the Philadelphia street fight and didn't expect to. That one blew me. I did not expect to like that match as much as I did, but just for nostalgia's sake, I mean, Snoop Dogg is hilarious. Snoop and Pat McAfee should just do like their separate commentary for pay-per-views,
right?
Like honestly, like the way that he used to for the UFC shows, because it's just so. I'm sorry, like I knew a lot of wrestling fans that kind of like had some complaints about it being distracting because it's Snoop and he's talking through the whole match. I'm like, I loved it. It was too funny. Like the one-liners. My favorite line was somebody hit a suplex, and Michael Cole just called it. He's like, "Oh, suplex." And Snoop goes, "Suplex, that's an old school move." It was just like, it was one of the funniest moments of the weekend. I couldn't help but just smile.
Like it went somewhere, right? Like the suplex, gone somewhere.
Like we haven't seen one. That's an old school move. We're like, yeah, Snoop.
That's great. So I got to ask you, no Stone Cold. Were you surprised it was the Undertaker?
I thought it was pretty okay. I loved seeing Taker. I thought that was cool, but I was pretty confident after the way it went down that Taker was in Stone Cold's spot, and that the plan likely was Stone Cold, and he either was busy or not.
I think I might know why it wasn't Stone Cold. I saw someone say this online. If it was Stone Cold, surely he would have Cody with the Stone Cold Stunner as well. Because typically when he comes out, he stunners everybody. He leaves nobody standing.
That
right. Could be why.
That would make a lot of sense because he's got to stunner every single guy if he comes out, and that takes away from the match.
And he doesn't really have any like history with Cody or Roman, so he would just go for everybody in that situation, surely. Whereas Undertaker got beat by Roman at WrestleMania 33, got eliminated in the Royal Rumble 2017, never got his chance at revenge.
That's a very good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Austin wouldn't just come out and just stun The Rock. He'd stun them all.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I really thought it was Stone Cold because I saw that Philly 316 shirts that they were making. And I was like, there it is. You know, there's the hint. When's it going to happen? But I wasn't let down. I jumped out of my seat when those lights went off. I was hoot, hollering, probably woke the neighbors up. Don't know if they're wrestling fans, but they should have been watching it. But yeah, it was awesome. I absolutely loved the finish. And with Seth, you know, he said, "Cody, I'm your shield." Comes out as the shield.
Yeah.
And Roman had to make that choice. Do I hit Cody and win, or do I take it out on Seth? And Seth was the shield for Cody, and without Seth, he wouldn't have been able to do it. So I mean, the way it played out, it was cinematic ending. It was awesome.
I don't know if it was only me, but when that music hit, and people in my Twitch can clarify, I was screaming, "Dean Ambrose is here!"
Right.
I was literally screaming, "Ambrose
me
is
and
here!"
Carter both for a second. The first thing I said, I go, "No way, this isn't Mox." Is it? Like, no way.
I was looking everywhere for him. I was like, he's got to be out there somewhere. But still, when that Shield music hit, my eyes were peeled on the crowd, just waiting to see who was coming in. But like Jason said, it was awesome.
Yeah, another thing about that segment or that part with Seth Rollins, it made me back to being a Seth Rollins fan, because this past year with his Seth freaking Rollins wearing his wife's clothes, being stupid.
Seriously.
And he come back out in the black with his old theme song, and I was like, this is the Seth Rollins I love. The dark, sinister, evil Seth Rollins. Serious, not this walking clown emoji, as The Rock correctly called him. He needs to go back to this when he comes back. He really does.
Yeah, like the little violin thing on his outfit.
Ridiculous.
His matches looks
the Mardi
absurd.
Gras entrance.
Yeah.
The Mardi Gras. Yeah.
Although the mummers was cool. I like that they got the mummers. Because I don't know if you. Well, I know Kim, probably not an NFL fan, but if you remember when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Jason Kelce dressed up as one of the mummers for the parade.
Yeah,
and that's when he did like the famous line where he's pounding the table as he's talking to the crowd, and he's in the big hat. It was ridiculous.
That's hilarious. That makes sense. Then that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like a Philadelphia band, famously. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. What about Raw? Did Raw hit after Mania? Do you guys think? What are your opinions on thoughts on Raw last night? And then we'll get back into some other stuff. But I need to know what you thought about Raw. Did it hit as hard as it should have or could have after such a great Mania?
I always think the crowd is really hot at Raw after Mania. I think it's awesome. I was there last year and said it when I left. I was like, really happy to be here, but this is the worst Raw after Mania I've ever seen. And I was in the building, so I felt like it was a bit of a makeup for that. This year it was better for sure. Philly crowd was as hot as could be asked for. I thought the Rock promo with Cody was a little bit awkward. Like, did Rock not?
That was weird.
It was weird.
Yeah,
it was like they were trying to turn the Rock face, but the crowd said, that's not happening. Cody's our man, and you're a heel Rock, and we're not going to let that happen. And then it was like they didn't know how to pivot from it, and it was an awkward moment.
It was bizarre to me. I expected that to be like the most sublime part of the show, and then it was just like, at one point I was like, is The Rock doing like a Donald Trump impression here? Like the way his cadence was going, I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
I don't think the whole show of Raw was as bad as people are making it out to be, though, because I've seen some people saying it was like terrible, but I don't think it was that bad. And people that watch me know I'm the biggest fan of Sheamus, so seeing that little vignette of Sheamus about his return, I'm hyped up for that. Hopefully he returns before Clash at the Castle and gets a Intercontinental title shot.
Absolutely.
Have you recovered from GM and I'm drawing a blank right now. From Drew, sorry.
I know you were going to say that.
Yep, I had to. I had to bring it up.
I mean,
from Drew dropping it.
I don't mind it because we all know he's getting it back in Scotland, and I'm going to do my best to be there in attendance. But I just want to mention Drew McIntyre's promo. When he mentioned that about Damian Priest, about I wanted to kick your ass, but you'd probably enjoy that. I don't know how the hell he's been allowed to say that. And then he's like a something, and you know what, Undertaker. I was like, Drew McIntyre is the most entertaining character I think I've ever seen in wrestling. He's so good.
I love the new, slightly more sinister, a little bit more edge to him now too than I mean, he was as big of a, howdy doody baby face as could be during the pandemic. Still loved him then, but like, that wears off. And I like that he's found this sort of happy medium where he's like, he's not fully the Scottish psychopath. I wouldn't call him a heel, but he's like kind of the perfect tweener right this second.
Yeah. I think in England, in Scotland, sorry, he'll be the biggest face ever. And nobody's going to be booing Drew McIntyre in the UK.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. So in one of the commercials, did you see the little Uncle Howdy teaser?
I thought it was Alexa Bliss. You know when they did that little match?
Or was it Alexa Bliss?
With Chelsea Green with like a random person. I was like, this is Alexa Bliss. But no, it's Jade Cargill. I'm not going to complain. I do like Jade Cargill, but wish it was Alexa Bliss.
I could be. I mean, by the way, maybe Bliss and Howdy do something. That'd be cool. I wouldn't hate that at all. I hope that they do have Howdy come back. A lot of people are talking about like, oh, maybe it's too sad, this, that, and the other. I'm like, no. I miss Bo Dallas in general, right? Like, totally. And by the way, I was stoked in the documentary that they fully told us it was Bo Dallas because I was tired of hearing it was Vincent from The Righteous.
Yeah,
I'm like, it can't be. He's not in both companies.
Right.
So, all right, let's go back to your role with Wrestle Republic. What exactly is it that you do with Wrestle Republic? We know you definitely run a couple podcast shows. What specific shows or what it is, and then go ahead.
Basically, I do the daily broadcast. I host. Ben hosts about half the days, and I host the other half. But I'm on pretty much. I usually take one day off a week of that show, and then we have another show that is a collectibles, action figures, merchandise podcast, all wrestling like gear, called Sold Separately, that I do with Anthony Ricciardi. And if you watch the Throwback Thursday shows, he's always on Thursdays with me as well.
Yep.
We've actually got a couple episodes coming out soon. We have part 2 we did all the Sting figures throughout Sting's entire career. So we've got part 2 of that episode coming out soon in the next couple weeks. And then our post show, basically, so after any big event, and then every Tuesday night after NXT is called Off the Air. And that one's gonna be me, Shad, Drizzy, and well, depending on the day, sometimes we'll have Carter and a few others will join that show as well. When I first started, I did the reviews for the website, but I haven't been doing that since I've been sort of in charge of so because we have the reviews department, news, opinions, all of that. Technically my title would be head of communications. So I basically just make sure if somebody needs something, the website's not working, whatever it is, you can call me and then I figure out how to fix the issue when it comes to that. And then anything sponsorship related, we will, it goes through me basically and Ben. So that's kind of my role there. But it's awesome. We got a really fun team with a really, really good crew of a bunch of guys and girls that came together organically. It's a blast.
That's what we noticed, right? When you had Jason and I on the show, right? We were on the show a couple months back, and we had everyone was just awesome, right? And very welcoming to the Next Level team, because then that's when we came on. We came on as Next Level. Now we're coming on with our own little podcast here. So awesome. Great group of people. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned you get one day off. You're a hard worker. We see that. So on that one day off, what are you doing?
Oh, Rooster knows this one as well as anybody. I'm teeing it up, no question. I played college golf, absolutely. Yes. I'm teeing it up and letting it fly, playing as much golf as I can. Yeah, I love it. I still love playing, still love competing. I play a couple tournaments a year, basically, and then the 4-ball is always my big one. Then as many member guests as I can get invited to.
Right, exactly. Right, getting on those.
Member guest season is my favorite season.
Oh, absolutely.
No
what's your handicap? What's your handicap at nowadays?
I am stoked because I no longer have to give 2 to 2s. I only have to give them 1. I'm up to a 0.8. I'm fired up. I had an 80 knock off a 68. So I'm no longer just a flat scratch. But yeah, I mean, I've been as low as a +3.5. But with time and stuff, getting older, not quite the player I used to be. But yeah, I'm a 0.8 in the system right this second, index wise.
Yeah, that's awesome. I gotta bring this story up because it happened, right? So we just had the Valspar here in town, and Bo was here. Bo Hostler was here, and I text you real quick. I'm like, hey, Clark. And then next thing you know, Bo is giving my son a glove at the tournament. And then Bo shout him out on his Instagram account. So like my son's weekend was absolutely made. He got that glove. Then he got a ball from what's his name, who won? Peter. So Peter. he was absolutely, and I got that all on my phone as well. So like everything. So like my son is like so into golf now. He's so into wrestling now. So like it's like, oh, it's awesome. But yeah, like just that connection. Like I was able to reach out to you, who knew somebody on the tour. Like the network of people, right? Like, and I
such a small world, because it's so funny. Like Bo was my high school teammate and one of my best friends growing up, like a little brother to me, like so easygoing and everything. And so when you said you were going, I was like, hey, keep an eye out. My friend and his son are going to be following you. And he's like, oh, I'll take care of him. And I was so stoked about it, because I figured, whatever, he'd give a ball or something. But during the round signed glove, I'm like, dude, you're the man. I texted him after the round, like, dude, you're the man. That was the right thing to do there. That was cool.
That's awesome.
It's something I'll always remember, and then I know he will remember as well. So when are you getting back in the Tampa area and coming over here? Right.
I want to come out and play some Florida golf. So I'm thinking sometime. I mean, right now I don't have anything on the books. If I could maybe time it with a WWE swing around Tampa, or even an AEW swing around Tampa, that would be ideal, right? Hit a wrestling event and then tee it up a couple times. I would love to do that. Get out there. Tampa's always a blast.
Yeah, we definitely got to get on the links together.
We have to.
So with working with Wrestling Republic, what's your favorite moment? Like what really stands out to you when you with the job with Wrestling Republic?
So there's a bunch, but WrestleMania 40 this year was a blast and everything. But 39 last year was in LA, and it was the first time. So Ben flew out, Soul flew out, Chaos flew out from England, and then Kobe came from Canada, and Anthony came from Philly. So we had 6 of us. And sorry, excuse me. We stayed at my house for the first 2 nights, then drove up to LA. I exhausted my Marriott points, and we stayed downtown. And it was awesome. But like the little things, like we had the 3 hotel rooms there, and it was the first time we'd all met in person, but just figuring out how to set up all the equipment to do the daily in the hotel. Like honestly, as much as I had such a blast at the event, just like the little like laughing, like, are we really going to shoot this at the beds? Like we got to figure out a different angle here. Like, so can we open the window? No,
right.
Like, just like it was
go down by the pool.
We're like, we don't have enough chairs, and we're like, wait, there's an office chair in every room. So we had all 3 of the office chairs in one room, and then we got to remember when we check out to put the chairs back, like in the other rooms. Just little stuff like that, and going to all those events last year was so much fun. That would be probably my favorite. Night 1 and 2 were both just electric. And then we did Raw after Mania as well, and that was hilarious. I was all stoked. I'm a huge Dan Le Batard show fan too, so I met Mike Ryan, who's the producer on that show, and I marked out. And then it was really funny because they're all like, you've seen like 5 wrestlers in public and didn't mark out, but the guy that's the radio producer, you freaked out. It was too funny. Me and Soul ran into Natty Neidhart at CVS that weekend, and like the whole thing was just like, it was a blast. It was wrestling heaven, right? Like, all your buddies all weekend long. We went to the Superstore every day as if we didn't buy all the stuff we needed the first day.
Yeah, so we've just had WrestleMania 40, and you mentioned you went to 39. Where do you reckon WrestleMania 40 ranks among all-time WrestleManias? Because to me, in my lifetime, it's probably the best one I've ever seen. It was the first one I've ever seen like live on show. I wasn't there, but on TV. Where do you reckon it ranks?
It is up there. It is up there. To me, 17 is tough to beat. 17 is really tough to beat, but it might have edged it out. I mean, yeah, if it's not number 1, it's top 3. It would be like my answer, if that makes sense. I would say it's number 1, a little bit of recency bias there. And I've got also some, like, 12 was my first show I ever went to. Shawn Michaels and Brett. And it's like, I was 5 years old and looking up in the rafters, the spotlight on Shawn. I'll never forget that. Right. So like selfishly, I would probably answer 12. I was, wide-eyed 5-year-old in the building for that one. Yeah. Like how can I not be a HBK diehard for the rest of my life after that? Absolutely. And then I actually also went to 19 and then 21 as well. And then big gap before 39. But 19 was kind of a weird one. That was in Anaheim.
Definitely had your fair share of WrestleManias. That's awesome. That's incredible. So I don't know if you noticed or saw any of this, but we sent Next Level sent Matt Doherty there, and he had night 2 and the Raw afterwards, and he has some great content that he's been sharing on the app. Go ahead and give him a follow. Everybody listening,
Yes.
he had a blast. He had some great content. Go ahead, Clark. Give Wrestling Republic a little plug here. Go ahead, talk a little bit about them and where we can find them. And
check us out on every platform. Wrestling Republic, the Next Level app. Just go right there. That one's easy too. How about there?
Right.
But yeah, we've got the daily broadcast that'll be on. We're at noon Pacific every day, 3 o'clock in the East, and then that's 8 o'clock in the UK, 9 a.m. in Hawaii. And then 7:15 p.m. Pacific tonight we'll be off the air. Tune in for that one after NXT. That's going to be a blast. Check out the website because all the reviews are up from Mania weekend. All our star ratings we got a whole system. We don't break the system either. You won't see any 7 stars or anything like that. It all makes sense. It all adds up. We go to 5 at the most and quarter stars, but check those out. The reviews are great. And yeah, I mean, we got a lot of good stuff rolling. So if you haven't already been on the Instagram or YouTube, all kinds of videos there, or just go straight through Next Level, because that's an easy way to find us for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Click on the connect link. It has all their social media profiles. Just one click away, and it's all their information. Very, very easy to find everything about Wrestle Republic. But yeah, Clark, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an awesome podcast. We appreciate it. And yeah, man, thank you.
Thank you guys for having me so much. I really appreciate it. All 3 of you guys. It's a blast. Always. Anytime. As long as I'm invited, I'll be back.
Hey.
Yeah, Clark, also appreciate you for having me on your show about a month or 2 ago. That was a blast. And like I said, as Matt and Jason said, so welcoming, as if I was just part of the team. And yeah, great time. And anytime you want me on or you want to come back on our show, just let me know. Let us know.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
I mean, I agree to that. Wrestling Republic makes you feel like you're a part of their team, just even as a guest. And that was what's fun about being on your show. So Clark, thanks for, getting up. I know it was a little early out there on the West Coast, but we appreciate you joining us. Again, follow them on Next Level as well. Follow us on Next Level. Check out our Connect links. That has all of our information. That's our favorite feature within the Next Level app. Again, go ahead and download the app. Give us a follow on our YouTube channel and check out our other full episodes on there as well. So again, thanks for joining us on Influencer Interviews and Insights. Look forward to seeing you guys again. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.